Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, yes, I'm wearing a different hat today because everybody made fun of my other one here for having a green button that was, well, green screened out. So anyways, I'll just wear a different one today and avoid the distraction for this video. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about something very interesting, and that is Solitaire for the Game Boy Advance E-Reader. The developer of this one has a very interesting blog post explaining the entire process over on their website, mattgreer.dev. It's titled, Cramming Solitaire onto a Nintendo E-Reader Card. Like everything I talk about, link is in the description below right at the bottom. And if you're interested in interesting reads, I do recommend checking out this article. The entire project is 100% free and open source, so if you're into e-reader stuff for the Game Boy Advance, you may be interested in this. On top of that, if you are thinking about ordering a card, you absolutely can. So there's a website called retro.cards.com, and they say right on the website, new games for the e-reader. There's other stuff in here aside from Solitaire. And if you were interested in getting a card, they say get a free e-reader card. If I check out the Solitaire page here, there's even an option to play it now in your browser. And it says at the bottom, order a card and play it on your GBA. Heads up, these cards have proven pretty popular. We are a very small team, so shipping might be delayed at times, but rest assured your card will arrive. Now, I don't know about you, but I love projects like this, just projects like this in general. I find them very innovative and very fun. Let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments below. And speaking about innovative, next up we're talking about something that's innovative but possibly in a bad way here. So it's Pokemon Infinite Fusion. This is an extremely popular mod for Pokemon Fire Red. And it turns out the main person behind this one is trying to use generative AI. So here's the tweet that's been picking up quite a bit of steam. The creator of Pokemon Infinite Fusion has begun using generative AI to write Pokédex entries, and has refused to remove thousands of custom sprites made by artists who disagree with the decision. And then the image below says, Pokemon Infinite Fusion's owner, Frogman Chardub, uses generative AI for the dex entries of about 100,000 fusions. Some of you know that I used to work for Pokemon Infinite Fusion, but I think this is a good time to explain why I quit around mid-2023. Now, in that series of Twitter posts, there's a lot of information, and I mean quite a bit. If you're interested in Pokemon Infinite Fusion, it's probably worth going through all of this, and fortunately, there is a too long didn't read. So in the TLDR, the creator wants to use AI. Artists disagree and want their sprites removed because of that decision. The staff announces they are temporarily not accepting removal requests, obviously linked to the backlash. And this isn't the first time something like this has happened. Now, the person tweeting all of this out is Irai, or A-Ray. I might have mispronounced that one, and I apologize. Anyways, here they are the main person behind Project Vanguard, another very popular Pokemon fan game. And to me, this stuff is very interesting. I mean, I can see why Frogman Chardub would resort to using generative AI given the fact that they'd have to write over 100,000 fusions. And that is a lot of dex entries. I mean, the game is called Infinite Fusion. And I think at some point it becomes unfeasible to write dex entries for everything. However, on the other hand here, and in my opinion, this is the big thing. If Frogman is going ahead with this without buy-in from everybody who has contributed or who is contributing to the project, then Frogman should honor the people who want their stuff removed from the project. This project is not created by one person and fueled by one person alone. It takes a community of people who are interested in the game. And if that's the case, then they all should have equal say on how the game is made. Yeah, when there's multiple people involved in making decisions, there will be disagreements. That's a completely normal thing. And whether or not they want to go with majority rules or whatever here, that's on them. But at the same time, if someone is requesting their stuff to be removed from the project because they don't agree with the direction of the project, I think they should have to honor that. I mean, these people are working for free from my understanding. However, to play devil's advocate here, was the artwork initially contributed with the understanding that it may be removed later on? Was it a loan of sorts, a loan of the artwork to the project, provided the artist was happy with it? If that is the case, then yeah, remove the artwork if the artist wants it removed. I do think they have a removal process and a removal request process, and if that is the case, well, Frogman will probably have to comply. Now, I don't have a crystal ball on this one, and we're going to have to wait and see what happens moving forward with Pokemon Infinite Fusion, but if things continue on down this path, I would say it does not spell a good future for this game overall. And speaking about fan stuff, next up we're talking about Infidelity, who is well known for porting stuff from the NES to the SNES, and well, he's at it again. So here's what he says. Here it is, my latest port from NES to SNES. And it's a multi-cart. Thank you to my patrons during this wild ride. Huge thanks to Batty for doing all of the MSU1 arrangements. Happy holidays. Please enjoy. See you in 2025. And it's the Ninja Gaiden Trilogy. And again, like everything I talk about, link is in the description below right at the bottom. But moving on and shifting from Nintendo to Sega. And next up here, we're talking about some retro games. Now, in yesterday's video, we mentioned how Sega was no longer interested in creating something like the Sega Saturn Mini or the Sega Dreamcast Mini, but they appear to be interested in partnering with companies to release some mini arcades. So here's the latest tweet from MyArcade. Sega and MyArcade team up to launch retro gaming devices featuring Sonic, Outrun, Shinobi, and more. See them first at CES 2025. Now, I do find this one a little bit weird given the fact that, well, in yesterday's video, we talked about an interview where Sega said they didn't want to be considered a retro gaming company and they were a modern gaming company. And this kind of goes against that. I don't know here, let me know your thoughts on whether or not you'd be interested in buying a mini arcade cabinet with Golden Axe, Sonic, Streets of Rage, Outrun, or Shinobi on it. And continuing to talk about Sega, kinda. Next up here, we're talking about the highly controversial SuperSega FPGA. Now, if you head to their website at supersega.com, it says SuperSega, as it was is no longer using the name or domain supersega.com. The upcoming device previously known as SuperSega is now called SuperSPGA. Now, at a very high level for those who may not be up to speed on this project, the SuperSega FPGA aims to be an FPGA board for a whole bunch of different Sega consoles. In fact, I think all Sega consoles. Anyways, here the project itself has been shrouded in controversy. It's just one thing after another here. It seems like every piece of social media they put out results in even more questions about the legitimacy of this project. And recently they did say that Sega came after them because of the use of the Sega name. So they say here on their new website, SuperSPGA, December 2024, Sega issued against SuperSega. We changed the name for SuperSPGA. They are asking for us to stop and destroy all units being manufacturing. We asked for Sega to reply to our response in no more than 14 days since 5th December. And it appears that, well, they've changed their name because Sega didn't want them using the word Sega in their name. But they changed their name and still have Sega in the name. SPGA here stands for Sega Programmable Gate Array. So I don't know what they're doing here. They changed it from one bad thing, according to Sega, to potentially another. I don't know what's going on with this project. Video Game Esoterica has a new video on this subject called Super Sega FPGA Scam is Dead, Cancelled, so where's the money? And I do recommend checking this video out. Apparently here they're going to be selling their Lamborghini to cover the cost of, well, the money they owe to Sega. Apparently Sega is coming after them for a 5-figure sum. Unfortunately here, for anyone who backed the project, refunds may or may not be on the table. I'm pretty sure the person behind this one did say that they would refund anyone who asked for it. But I don't know if that will still hold up given the fact that, well, they're saying Sega is coming after them for 5 figures, which would probably be all of the pre-order money. And if they're selling the Lambo to cover some of this as well, it doesn't seem likely that people will be refunded. We'll have to wait and see. Video Game Esoterica, who's very close to the matter, says they're unsure if anyone is going to get a refund. So it appears that the Super Sega FPGA project is not ending 2024 on a high note, and I would venture a guess and say 2025 is probably not going to be much better for the Super SPGA project. Anyways, here, let me know your thoughts about this one, but in my opinion, there's a whole bunch of red flags that just keep getting bigger and multiplying with this thing. I'd be surprised if this project ever sees the light of day, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to a Kickstarter. or an Indiegogo project and maybe doesn't deliver on that either, but we'll have to wait and see. But shifting from arguably not delivering to delivering, next up here we're talking about the Palworld and Terraria collaboration. And based on what I'm seeing here, this seems to be a very fun collaboration that's going to deliver. Palworld has just teased that Meowmere is headed to Palworld. The full collab is happening in 2025, but if you like swords and you like firing cat beams at enemies, you may like Meowmere. Although the full collaboration isn't happening until 2025, Meowmere is part of the December update. And they say here just a little taste of what is to come. And speaking about what is to come, next up we're talking about what isn't to come. And it appears that Stalker 2 is not headed to the PS5. So Tech for Gamers interviewed the director of Stalker 2, and they asked, given the positive previews of Stalker 2, many fans on platforms other than Xbox and PC are interested in the game. Do you have any plans to port it to other consoles? And here is the response. We were fully focused on developing and now supporting the PC and Xbox Series X and S versions. Furthermore, we do not comment on leaks, rumors, or speculations. Again, the PC and Xbox Series X and S versions of Stalker 2 are the only ones we have developed and are supporting. Stalker 2 was released on Steam just over a month ago on November 20th. And it is currently 10% off. It currently has a very positive review score with over 70,000 reviews. And on a side note here, taking a quick peek over at SteamDB for the current most popular games on Steam. Not surprised at the top 10 games here, but if I scroll down, Stalker 2 is in 56th position. This is a little lower than what I would have expected, but still not bad overall. I'm interested to hear your thoughts about this one. Do you think Stalker 2 is missing out by not launching on PS5, or do you think it's doing absolutely fine and not missing much at all? And speaking about games launching on different consoles, next up we're talking about Myth Wukong. Now, Myth Wukong on Steam is doing extremely well. It's got an overwhelmingly positive review score with almost 800,000 reviews. Anyways here, if you were excited that this game would be launching on something like the Nintendo Switch, well, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. There is a copycat of sorts that has launched on the Switch here called Wukong Sun Black Legends. And it seems that some people are mixing this up with Myth Wukong. Not surprised. So looking at the screenshots for this game, and in my opinion here, it's a generic 2D game that seems to have been slapped together and looks quite a bit like a mobile game. It's priced at $7.99, and I'm assuming a lot of people may pick this up thinking it's actually Myth Wukong. Looking at the description of this game, and well, it says, embark on an epic journey to the west in Wukong Sun Black Legend. Step into the role of the immortal Wukong, the legendary Monkey King, as he battles through a chaotic world teeming with powerful monsters and untold dangers. Now, I don't know about you, but I am thinking here that there's a possibility someone gets this game at Christmas from their parents who thought it was Myth Wukong. I could be wrong. Anyways, here, let me know your thoughts about this one and whether it's 338 megabytes, this game. Oh, Lordy, let me know your thoughts about this one. And on a side note here, it seems like this is not the first time something like this has happened over on the eShop. Ren Breyer, who is the creative director of Unpacking, says it's been over 2 weeks and these are still on the eShop. Nintendo hasn't responded to any of our reports of these egregious scams which are using our trademark game name and purposely tricking Nintendo customers into buying cheap fakes. And he shows a screenshot here of, well, games that look like they're using Unpacking's name. In my opinion here, Nintendo's eShop is kind of the Wild West in terms of what's on there and what's not. To me, I think there's a lot of shovelware on there, a lot of garbage, and I find it very oddly similar to something like Google Play, where it's just filled with stuff. Now, fortunately for Unpacking, it seems that there is a happy ending here. They say the fake Unpacking games are now gone from the North American, European, Japanese, and Australian eShops. But they are still available in Korea, Hong Kong, and all of South and Central America and South Africa. So we'll have to wait and see here what happens with Wukong Sun, if it's unique enough, I guess, to not be taken down, or if Myth Wukong folks even care about it. Next up here, we're talking about a new Linux distribution, Serpent OS. Now, Serpent OS was announced, I think, a couple of years ago. The main person behind this one previously worked on Solus, and it appears that Serpent OS has now entered alpha. And as for what Serpent OS is, it's a heavily engineering-led Linux distribution seeking to redefine how we distribute Linux. It is a stateless OS that leverages atomic updates, cutting-edge tooling, and rock-solid reliability to deliver a safe and efficient system. From my understanding, Serpent OS is powered by Linux kernel 6.12, and there's two different versions here, GNOME as well as Cosmic. That is very interesting to see. Anyways, if you are interested in testing out cutting-edge things and don't mind there being some issues with it, Serpent OS may be worth checking out. It may pique your interests here, especially if you like to distro hop. Next up, we're talking about Striden, which is a brand new game headed to Steam that appears like it's going to be very popular. They say loot, build, plunder, and send the radio signal for freedom. Striden is a fast-paced sandbox looter-shooter survival game that you've never experienced before. I guess until now. And that's because the playtest has opened. So the playtest opened yesterday on December 23rd, at least at the time of filming here, and it's open until the 2nd of January. If this game interests you, it may be worth checking out that playtest. And last up here, if you're a fan of Vampire Survivors, a fan of the Game Boy Advance, and a fan of blobs, you may be a fan of Hammer Smasher. It's a brand new endless survival game for the Game Boy Advance here, and well, it's on itch.io for name your own price. Now, based on the images here, it seems very simple and very straightforward, but at the same time, it may be nice just to kill some time, for example, if you're waiting for a doctor's appointment or something like that. Let me know your thoughts about this one and if you're interested in it. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and the legendary and kind of festive One Fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state. And Merry Christmas, and if you don't celebrate Christmas, Happy Holidays. And here's a better look at the legendary festive One Fluff. I turned the green screen effects off so you can see her little hat.